I love it when we start these things and you say these things that are great for the podcast, but we haven't started recording yet. Say it again.
I can say it again.
Say it again.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
You want me to just jump into it?
I want you to jump right into it, baby.
Okay, well, this movie that we reviewed for the podcast today came out in 1998. And I was looking at the information and I was like, oh, 1998. That was like a few years ago. And then I was like, wait a minute.
I was still in California.
No, it was not, Louisa.
That was before Chicago, or before, well before the honey thing.
I was in high school. In Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Where you're still at.
Yep.
All right. What did we watch?
Kirikou and The Sorceress.
Okay, I don't know what's been going on, but somehow I'm weak, and I give in to these. I find these animations that I think you'll like, and I know any of the guys out there who are listening to this is like, why in the hell are you watching this, middle-aged white guy? To which,
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to add, sorry for interrupting,
go
but
ahead.
You should have seen him watching this movie.
I was awake. You fell asleep.
You were wide awake and you were really into it, like you're making comments.
Well, I mean, okay, all right, fine.
I mean, it could have been like, quote, a pretend act, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
You were watching it.
It was not an act. It was a good story, but I felt like, there's another, I gotta cut that out. How would, this is something I became aware of as we were watching it. There was a moral thread to it that it was trying to communicate.
Much so.
But it delivered it. You know what it was? It's a lot like watching an animation of a child's, like a children's story, like one of those. Do you remember those? I'm sure they still make them. The golden edged, hard.
Yeah, of course.
What are those called?
Golden books.
Golden books. Yeah. It was like that, but it's set in Africa. You're made to believe. It's a all black tribe.
It's like a folktale.
Folktale. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Sorry about this. When I looked at the chat that you sent me, it started. I didn't have it all the way scrolled down. It started out with sorceress, and I read that as sorcerer. I'm like, you sent me the wrong movie. We already did this months ago. It has nothing to do with a sorceress. It's about a truck.
What movie did we do months ago that was with the sorcerer?
Sorcerer. With the truck. You know, and all those guys, they moved to...
oh my gosh, yeah, okay, I got it.
People actually like that review.
Yeah, and I think Raising Arizona, too.
Yeah, that's been picking up.
I saw over your shoulder the other day. A little bit ago. I also was thinking about that movie this morning when I woke up.
So, Kirikou and the Sorceress, 1998 film by French director Michel, I want to say Ocelot, but it looks like maybe it is Ocelot. Inspired by the West African folklore, the movie moves and follows miraculous newborn Kirikou, who uses intellect and curiosity to save the village from a powerful sorceress.
Oh my gosh, this was
named
like one of
Karaba.
the...
Go
Sorry.
ahead. Yeah, no.
I can't help myself.
Please, don't apologize. What about it?
It was a great opening.
This
little kid.
He just starts talking in the womb.
From the start.
He's
in
like,
the womb. Yeah, did you hear that? In the womb.
And he's the personality is...
like precocious?
Very. He's like, Mom, I'm ready to... Get me out of here. And his mom, you can tell that this is like a real dynamic. She's like, you want to be out so bad? You get out.
You can do it by yourself. If you can talk, you can do it by yourself.
And he's like, Mom, this is great being out here. I want a math. And she's like, do it yourself. I'm like, wow, this kid is being raised in the hood. But he's...
such a cute little tiny guy.
Yeah, while in the womb and out, he already has... It's a cartoon, of course. Excuse me. Pardon. Animation. It is... He forms full thoughts, has conversations, but he still has a childlike I guess, the way he presents to the world. And he runs. He runs everywhere. He's the fastest runner in his village. And I'm going to get back to this here. To save his village from the powerful sorceress Karaba. Scholars evaluate the film through the lens of Orientalism, debating whether the portrayal of African culture is nuanced and respectful. Oh, this must have been... Well, the guy was French, so he could have been an African French person. I don't know. I have not looked up the story of Michel Ocelot. Actually, you might want to see if you can pull that up, see if there's anything about him. Scholars evaluate the film through the lens of Orientalism, debating whether the portrayal of African culture is nuanced and respectful, or if it reinforces Western stereotypes regarding superstition and rationality. Text also highlight the film's distinctive and visual style, which draws inspiration from Egyptian art and the paintings of Henri Rousseau, which you're having a moment over. What did you just say about wallpaper?
I am having a moment over. Well, so his paintings are beautiful. I really loved them.
He was not the animator. That's who the animation was based off. Correct?
Yes.
Right, okay. Go ahead.
It's like,
draws inspiration from Egyptian art and the paintings of Henri Rousseau. Additionally, the sources discuss controversies surrounding the film's natural nudity, which is, I don't know what the distribution was like. I had never heard of this movie before, but it's an African tribe, and I don't think this wasn't a Hanna-Barbera project that was beamed into every American home. It was a movie. It was a folktale. I don't see why. I look at movies like this through the lens of it depends on how it's to be distributed and who it's being distributed to. So all the women are bare-breasted, and the men are all fully naked, including Kirikou, who runs everywhere. But it's kind of I suppose I look at this as, if you know anything about the world, if you know anything about remote tribes in Africa, they don't have the same garment requirements that the Western world does.
Yep.
And you look at this animation through that lens.
Yep.
Now, if I could understand your niece Violet watching this and maybe questioning it, but then you have a dialogue with the kid about this is in a different place.
Yeah.
And things are different when you travel around.
Yeah.
This is what I don't like.
A good learning point, a good
exactly.
teaching point.
It's a teaching experience, what do they call it? A teachable moment.
Yeah.
And when I see stuff like this, I always, there's people being drawn or animated in the nude. I'm like, you have a conversation about that. You don't just like shirk away from it. This is what I don't like about critics. They always find something that they can take a negative tilt on. It's just kind of absurd.
Yeah, it didn't even occur to me because, like you said, you start watching this movie and immediately you're watching it through this lens, and these people are naked.
My biggest issue with film critics outside of our little endeavor here is that just kind of a negative critique or components of a critique. I almost feel like a lot of critics go into that profession so they can grumble about something. It's a different world and a different time, and it's an anime. Like, I wouldn't want them to be fully clear. It wouldn't
be the same. It wouldn't be right. It wouldn't look. No.
This is supposed to be a remote village. You don't know when it is. It comes across as folklore. So it just seems like a made-up gripe.
Yeah. I didn't realize until researching that it would be quite the issue. I should have known, had I thought about it more, probably, the issue of the nudity, if it's even an issue. But also I have to say that I guess in a way, like, I appreciated it because like, I love costumes and jewelry and accessories, and for the sorceress,
Yeah, she was all accessories.
It really worked. She was drawn so beautifully. She had on, so all of the villagers had on a very simple, I would call it a long skirt, and that's all they wore. And then
the women.
The women, thank you. And the sorceress, who's a woman, she had on a very fancy, like, patterned long skirt, and then she had jewelry all over the upper half of her body. I mean, including her crown and all her necklaces and things, but just, like, I don't know, I really liked that. It was very attractive. It made her, like,
she was adorned.
That character, you know?
She was adorned.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But also we have to go back for just a moment to Henri Rousseau, because I think I didn't really say anything about that. I was going to look it up. But yeah, it would make such great wallpaper. Like, I could see it in, like, a restaurant bathroom or the walls of my apartment.
I have no doubt he would be crushed hearing that.
I'm sorry, Henri Rousseau. I don't mean it like that. But your art is
a
beautiful.
Super high-end restaurant.
Okay.
Something where they serve escargot and prime rib.
Yep, that's right. Or my apartment, and we don't serve that here, so.
So
it's just beautiful.
You did a little pitch deck here. Is that what it's called on the
slide deck?
Slide deck?
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome.
It's so cool. Did you see it?
I'm looking at it.
Sorry. So I know that we talked about this in a recent episode of Critique-Opolis, but when we
do our workup,
get ready to do our episode, we use Notebook LM, and most of the time that we sign into Notebook LM, there are new features, and they just blow, I'm going to say for both of us, our minds. And last time we discovered this slide deck, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago, and it's so cool. And, like, I'm very, like, much about visual presentation and colors and all that. And the slide deck that came up for Kirikou and the Sorceress, it's, like, very, like, the style is all in the animation of the movie.
It's exactly like the movie.
I was like, this is so cool. So anyway, just to tell the people who are listening and not watching, or not, like, looking at what we're looking at.
Kirikou and the Sorceress: Anatomy of an Animated Masterpiece, unpacking the folklore, ancestry, and cultural impact of Michel Ocelot's 1998 classic. This was released in France. So when I hear things, I'm going to throw back a little bit to the critique that said, should they all be nude? This was released in France. That is purely a American critique. That is not a critique designed, like, the people of France would be like, what's a big deal?
Very good point.
And that absolutely makes sense. So when I see that, I'm like, this is definitely an American guy that wrote that.
Yep.
Okay, themes: unpacking the folklore, artistry, and the cultural impact of a modern animation classic. So, you want to go to deck 2?
Sure. Let me get back there.
Because I'm terrible at navigating this thing, and I just bounced out of it. Now I got to get back in.
Okay.
So, do your thing.
We were talking about Kirikou in the womb and how he was talking in the womb and saying to his mother, "Mom, I want to get out. I'm done being," I don't know what you call it.
I'm done waiting.
I'm done waiting, has it been 9 months yet? And then he comes out of the womb and he, again, great opening, very fun, you learn exactly who this character is immediately, and he's just so cute and precocious and
starts questioning the world.
Everything about it.
That's fun because kids do that. Kids are like, why is this? Why is this? Why is this?
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting about this? They point that out, that kids do that, and at the end scene when he's meeting his grandfather, he gets in front of that. That how children question.
Those scenes.
He gets in front of Kirikou's constantly asking, why is this, why is this? And he tells Kirikou, if you do that, you pull yourself out of the moment, you get away from the real question that you want to know at the time, and you go down this rabbit hole, and you start answering questions that you don't necessarily have or are even framed for yet. And I thought that was interesting that a piece of animation addressed that with children. Sort of a way to say, like, hey, slow down.
Yeah.
When you ask a question or two to get your mind around it. But if you just get in this never-ending loop of asking why, you're not really focusing on what the answer means.
Yeah, that's true.
And let's see what else. Diminutive advantage. They take advantage. That Kirikou takes advantage of how little he is and how uniquely he is shaped, being a baby, to change the circumstances of this village that has had all of its jewelry and water stolen by this princess, or by what's her name?
Sorceress.
The sorceress. So funny. What's this say here? It's inspired by West African folktales collected by Francois Victor Eleboc. Oh, the French are hating me right now. In 1912, especially the Fulani tale of the child. Forgive me here. Offer me some grace. I do not speak French or Afrikaans or any of the innumerable languages in Africa.
I'm not going to attempt
Bagua,
the French.
Hold on a minute here. Bagwamaway, and the witch Neju Dawal. I am not familiar with those, but I'm assuming this story is pretty similar. Rewriting the animated fairy tale structure. This is interesting. Oh, this is neat. Did you see this? They compare the Disneyfication of a story like this and compare it to the West African oral tradition. So this is neat because when you see it written out like this, you can make more sense of how the story was told. So in Disney's Western breakdown of a story, there is a smooth narrative curve with a traditional rising action. But the West African oral tradition, it is lumpy, staccato, episodic chapters with hard resets. And that was definitely the case.
I would agree.
Kirikou, there's a couple of vignettes where Kirikou saves the village children, and they herald him as a genius and smart and a hero, and immediately they go back to doing some other stupid shenanigans that allow the sorceress to try it. The sorceress she does things to slowly detract resources from this village. She takes their water, then she takes all their gold, and then she's trying to take the children away. And Kirikou comes and saves these kids on the multiple occasions, and right after they celebrate and herald how wonderful this kid is, then they start doing other shenanigans, and he tries to he is the voice of reason, and steps in and says, "Hey, slow down, stop doing that. That this is the sorceress trying to get a hold of you." And both times they're like, "Shut up, fuck off, get out of here. We're not listening. You're an idiot." So it's this kind of disjointed pattern, and they're not necessarily learning immediately. Disney movies have witty, character-driven, banner, and Broadway-style musical numbers, where the West African is hypnotic, rhythmic. There's a call and response, repetition, echoing the griot oral tradition, which I am not familiar with.
I do love that musical comparison, because that's another big part of, I would say, African culture, but also like Disney movies, and they're these huge, character-driven, as it says here, Broadway-style musical numbers. And then in this movie that we watched, everybody's singing together.
They kind of make up songs as they go,
Yeah.
and they're a little haphazard.
And they're very basic, and they get the story told. It's not some big, huge thing.
Yeah,
I kind of liked it when they all sang all the time.
Western stories are personality-driven, highly campy antagonists, where the West African, the sheer force of nature there is a sheer force of nature entirely driven by unhealed trauma.
Mm-hmm.
The thorn, which we'll get to in a little bit. In the Western version, there is a flawless, humble, reluctant underdog, where in the African, there is an arrogant, impulsive, demanding, hyper-competent child. I didn't know that was a through thread for
I definitely
African stories.
didn't either, but I'm not very familiar with African
That's interesting
stories,
that there's a lot of stories with a child who looks at what the adults do, and you're doing everything dumb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know better than you.
And it's funny because in some sense they're a child; they don't know what they're talking about. But in others, a child sees the world in a very simplistic fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Like adults would look at war, for example, and say, "Hey, we have to inflict violence on this other community or this other race or this other country."
Yeah, that's
because
the only way.
we don't like what they're doing, or they impact our economic policies or whatever. But a child would look at that and say, "You shouldn't hurt people."
It's not right. Yeah.
And arguments can be made for both cases, but like in the general, the human view is that of a child.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you shouldn't blow people up.
Yep.
You wouldn't like if somebody did that to you.
Exactly.
I don't like it
Exactly.
I don't want to have to pay more for gas. What do we got next? The aesthetics of the African shadow theater. I'm going to let you take this one.
Okay. Well, quite honestly, it's very like word heavy. But
Monochromatic 2D silhouettes devoid of traditional perspective cues. She didn't want to say that.
No, I mean it's just. Yeah, it's a lot of words, but I think that there's a better way maybe to say it. So
Okay.
like this slide talks about the foreground and the characters, and then it talks about the background or the environment, and it also talks about the details. And I think I kind of talked about this, alluded to it earlier, and I could definitely see. So they're talking about. The aesthetics of African shadow puppet theater. And I mean, I'm not, like, highly versed in shadow puppetry, but I do know, like, a thing or two about it because it's used in, like, a lot of Asian puppetry shows. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I could see it in the drawings of the sorceress. The way that she was portrayed, she would make a great shadow puppet.
So it says here in the details, intricate high contrast jewelry is utilized to make gestures legible despite flat silhouette styling. So her body and her face herself
it's not really 3D.
It's not really three-dimensional. It's flatter, but their use of her adornments, what's on her neck and on her earrings,
yeah,
and the bejewelments around her eyes and her breast and the jewels in her hair, those move, which sort of leaves you with, it's sort of an optical illusion that makes you see her move.
Mm-hmm. I would agree, yeah, well said.
And then the background environment is a hyper-detailed, botanically accurate tropical flora. Every petal and leaf is rendered iridescently, so all the flora and anything that was growing, all the plant life really looked alive because that was all painted with, and you can see it there with iridescent paint. So it was almost more alive than the characters.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
Every petal and leaf is rendered iridescently, drawing direct inspiration from native artist Henri Rousseau.
Which I'm so glad that I researched and read about this, because I would not have. I don't have that in my so-called wheelhouse, so I wouldn't have known that. But that's really, I mean, it's beautiful. The animation in this is just, I mean, I'd say stunning.
There's a lot of stuff in this deck here. Do you want to? We might have to skip a few of these.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, this was interesting, that Kirikou the Sorceress and her fetishes. So the fetishes were like her little African automaton robot type people that worked for her.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you for, you're right.
And the Watchers were they were just kind of mechanized looking guys with big red eyes. And they looked all over, like when they were searching for Kirikou, she decided she didn't like him, and he was foiling her plans to steal the kids and steal all the jewelry. These guys would, throughout the story, would scan the horizon and try to find him. And the fetchers were the same things. They were these automatons, but they had giant hands for taking things. And the sniffers were the same things, only with big long noses, and they would sniff out gold. The dark twist. The fetishes are not magical constructs. They are the missing men of the village. Oh, I didn't realize that.
I didn't either. Definitely not.
Transformed into servile, stripped-down robots by Kirikou to enforce her absolute power. I didn't realize that. Yeah, because they didn't have any features. They all looked the same.
They really didn't. And I don't know if this is getting too far ahead too quickly, but I think along with that comes, we said that we would discuss the thorn.
Well, that's in the next
later in. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that has to do with the missing men of the village, I think. Oh no, maybe not actually. I didn't think that through well before I spoke. But there's like a man and a woman. What do you call that? Like a, lack of better words, like a rift between them that we'll discuss.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. All right, so our next slide here talks about the cycle of the poison thorn.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So when Kirikou travels beyond the sorcerer's lair or mountain to a more distant mountain far off in the background, and that is where his grandfather resides. And he goes to see his grandfather, and he's trying to understand why. What's her name? This sorceress?
Caribou or something?
Not Caribou.
Caraba. I'm not saying
We're going to get in
correctly.
trouble
I'm
here.
so sorry.
Kirikou.
You're right. Thank you.
Why she is the way she is. And he details for Kirikou that there has been a poison thorn jammed into her back. Now, what does it tell us here? The assault, the thorn. A group of men plunged a poison thorn into her back, an allegory for collective sexual violence and trauma, which absolutely makes sense, especially in Africa, where sexual servitude is and violence is, I don't want to say it's the norm, but I have seen news reports of whenever there is conflict in Africa, violence and sexual assault against women is utilized as a weapon towards communities. Unspeakable pain and shame. The thorn causes endless physical agony, but inadvertently grants magical power. she is ostracized. This is the interesting part, and his grandfather emphasized this. Defensive rage or sorcery. Karaba dissociates from her body, turns men into fetishes, and aggressively destroys the environment. And this is all brought about by the pain that the thorn has inflicted upon her. And then Kirikou's intervention, a literal physical extraction of the thorn, symbolizing the bursting of the psychological abscess. And the grandfather had said, you're going to pull this out of her, and it's going to cause her immense pain, but only briefly. And then she's going to be a completely different person.
Yeah.
The radical climax of healing over vengeance. Restoration. Kirikou defeats Karaba not by killing her, but by curing her immense suffering. And this was kind of the weird scene in the movie when he's this newborn. He's like, come on, make out with me.
Yeah.
Come here, kiss me.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't do. Okay, I can do that. Borrowed from Western fairy tale motifs, but radically inverted. A woman awakens a child into adulthood rather than a prince awakening a passive princess. So she kisses Kirikou and he grows into a man, right? Which is, it's a cartoon, but you see this happen with men when they, like any person who gets their first kiss, like things change. You grow up a bit. Redeem masculinity. Kirikou's magical transformation into a man symbolizes a new, peaceful relationship between the sexes, actively redeeming the harm previously inflicted by male violence. And again, this is an allegory. It's not interpersonal. It's more of a generational thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone commits rape, they can't just go and stroke their victim's head and say, I'm sorry, I won't do it again.
Right.
It has to be, the cycle has to be broken. Like, if that person ever had offspring, his children have to be taught, your father's a piece of shit and he brutalized women and he raped people. But he's like that because he wasn't shown love, or the love he was shown was perverted. So for you not to do this, you have to be better than that. And that child has to be shown love and support, and has to be reared in in an environment that would allow for that. Did you see this bit on Pan-European, is it Kirikou bricolage? What is this?
What are you?
Just under the thing about the thorn. This is where the production. So the voices were recorded in Dakar, in Senegal, and South Africa.
Oh yeah.
This was done all over. I didn't realize how big this.
I know, this is really cool information.
Animation was executed at Regia Studio in Latvia, and Studio Exist in Budapest, Hungary. Post-production completed by Odette Kid Cartoons in Brussels and Les Armatures in France.
And it says the financial struggle. It took 2 full years to gather the $3.8 million in funding from disjointed grants, forcing the low-budget production to scatter across 6 studios in 5 different countries, which I think recently reviewed an animated short that took a long time with lots of countries involved, just like this. I mean, similar.
There was a movie that, I don't know if we reviewed it, but we looked at an Instagram, and it's escaping me right now. But we did not review this yet. And I don't remember the title, but it took many years to complete. It started with one studio, and then for a number of reasons, it was not completed at that studio. It was picked up by someone else. It was that one with those angels in it on my Instagram feed. And the production and the animation style at the back half of the film looked nothing like the beginning. It was Hungarian.
Yeah.
Hungary picked it up at the end, and I think it was originally started in England. I'll have to flip around and see this, but that's the thing about a movie is if you lose the studio while you're producing a place, you really run the risk of not having the continuity being messed up.
Right.
When your animators have to change, because if you have one set of illustrators and artists, and then you jump to somebody completely different, not only do you have a different style, but they're also working off a different interpretation of the source material.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. We should go back and find that.
I'll find that at some point, but what is this? The Kirikou effect. Kirikou sells 1.5 million tickets in France, definitively providing auteur 2D animation can be highly profitable. That was in 98, and then in 2003 directly leads to the green lighting and success of the Triplets of Belleville, which we haven't watched. I have watched. You haven't seen that yet.
Yes, I've never seen that movie.
You I don't know if you'd enjoy it or not, because I'm always surprised about what you do and don't like.
Yeah?
It's very French, but the animation exaggerates features in the characters, and I know sometimes you have a problem with that.
I do, yeah.
But it'd be where I think it's mostly musically driven, which you might be conflicted.
I know, I can't remember. I know my mom's seen it, and she's probably told me what she thought about it, and I can't remember what she said. I mean, in terms of if I would like it or not, or if I should watch it.
So eventually this paves the way for adult animation masterpieces like, I have not seen this either, Persepolis?
Yep, I remember this movie too. I've not seen it, but yeah.
Before Kirikou, financing French animated features was nearly impossible. Afterward, it sparked a genuine little golden age of European animation and directly inspired the foundation of African studios like Pitcoun in Senegal. Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool that it opened up the doors for so many other projects.
Form and function, legacy of a tiny hero. The aesthetics, the flat Egyptian profiles combined with hyper-detailed Rousseau flora construct a live, breathing shadow theater. In terms of the narrative, actively subverts the Orientalist tropes by championing empiricism over superstition while deeply honoring authentic African folklore. The unifying insight, Kirikou and the Sorceress, is a masterwork because of its uncompromising cultural authenticity. Is exactly what gave it universal barrier-breaking appeal. Now, I'm not normally into animation, and we don't typically give negative reviews here, but I think this, if we had, can you believe it? I almost said if we had kids. But for people with kids who understand the value of travel and understanding different cultures, this is worthwhile to see. Did you want to take a crack at the I think we got time for
some of the quiz?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
We'll go back.
I like these details.
All right, which specific theoretical framework is used in Sarah Henneff's analysis to evaluate Michael Ocelot's portrayal of African culture? Orientalism, formalism, Marxist film theory, or post-structuralism?
Orientalism.
That is correctamundo. Edward Said's theory of Orientalism is used to examine whether the film perpetuates colonialist stereotypes or offers a nuanced, respectful depiction of non-Western culture. Good job. Next.
Thank you.
You already read these.
I did do a couple of them.
Unbelievable. You're cheating.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that
anyway,
I knew the movie
what
before
does the Kirikou effect?
It.
Excuse me. What does the
Kirikou?
Oh my God, third time. What does the Kirikou effect refer to in the context of the French animation industry? A mandate requiring all French animators to be based on international folklore, a revitalization of French feature film industry with a flood of new projects. C, a rapid shift from 2D hand-drawn animation to 3D computer-generated imagery. Or D, introduction of non-sexual nudity in children's television programming across Europe.
I would say B, I think.
Revitalization of the French film industry with a flood of new projects?
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, good.
Film's box office success proved that French animated features could be profitable, encouraging investors and resulting in many new feature-length projects. According to the analysis of the film's subtext, what is the symbolic meaning behind the poisoned thorn in Karaba's back? A magical talisman that gives her immortality in exchange for her kindness. B, a metaphor for the trauma of sexual violence or collective rape. C, a physical manifestation of the village's collective superstition and fear. Or D, a curse placed by a rival sorcerer to steal her village's gold.
Again, I think it was B.
Yeah, you think, because you already took this. The director and critics suggest that Karaba's cruelty is a reaction to the pain and suffering inflicted upon her by a group of men in her past.
I have to say, as a side note to that question and those responses, when Kirikou is going to meet and talk to his grandpa about the happenings in his current life and the things that he wants to do and all the questions that he has, he does ask his grandpa if he can give him a talisman to help protect him or help him with going to see the sorceress. And his grandpa says no,
right,
which I thought was really interesting, just because, well, I just thought it was really interesting because that's not the answer I would have expected. And in the relationship between the two, I mean, his grandpa and this grandkid, like, I would have thought he would have been like, oh yeah, let me give you this talisman to help you on your, next step of your journey, next step of your life, and or what you want to do. And again, I mean,
I kind of felt like when I heard that, I'm like,
it's probably the influences of
almost like it's like, I'm not going to give you a crutch.
Yeah,
you have you have to deal with the hard reality.
Yep, agreed. Thank you for concluding that. Thank you.
Ocelot's visual style for the film was influenced by which painter? Oh, you already know this. Known for flat colors and detailed depictions of nature. Who was it?
Henri Rousseau.
I knew you got it.
And then I think that's where I stopped. Because I had to know who he was, and I thought that was so cool.
Here's where the rubber meets the road. Mm-hmm. Why did the film face significant distribution challenges in the UK and in the States?
Okay, maybe.
A, distribution feared the film's anti-colonialist message would be too controversial. B, the film's pacing was considered too slow for Western children's attention spans. C, musical score lacked the broad pop appeal required for the global release. Or D, portrayal of authentic West African nudity was deemed inappropriate for children. Or E, Eddie Murphy did not want to make a guest spot.
Is that really what it doesn't have?
No,
to.
I
You
threw
just
that
made
in.
that up.
Totally
that was
made
great.
That up, yeah.
D, for sure.
Portrayal of West African nudity was deemed inappropriate. Mm-hmm. Correct.
But I could also see the music one.
Yeah. Anglo-Saxon distributors struggle with the non-sexual nudity of the characters, even attempting to negotiate for the addition of clothes in the animation. In what way does Kirikou represent Western ideal within the film's thematic analysis of Orientalism? This is some... I didn't realize...
I have to read about, but anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did not take these things into consideration when we watched this movie.
No.
If I was asked to think this hard before I watched a French animation, I would have been out.
Maybe no.
I would have been out way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He utilizes magical spells inherited from his European ancestors. B, he embodies rationality, logic, and inquiry against the superstition of the villagers. C, he travels to a distant urban center to receive his education. Or D, advocates for the industrialization of the village to stop the sorceress.
What was the question again, please?
In what way does Kirikou represent Western ideal from the film's thematic analysis of Orientalism? I think Orientalism is the belief in superstition.
Okay, yeah, I was actually Googling that as we were talking about it.
I'm going to go with B. He
Okay,
embodies
thank you, because I'm not
rationality
really-
and logic
Okay.
and inquiry against the superstition. Yeah.
Okay, good, okay.
The article posits that Kirikou's reliance on logic and empirical questioning mirrors Western Enlightenment ideals, contrasting with the irrational villagers. Which musical constraint did Michel Ocelot impose on composer Youssou N'Dour to maintain the narrative arc of the village men? The score could only consist of female vocalists until Kirikou became an adult. The use of stringed instruments as forbidden until the climax. No music was allowed during scenes featuring the sorceress Karaba, or drums were restricted until the very end of the film. I do not know the answer to this.
I think it's drums.
They were waited until the end? Wow, you're batting 1,000.
Pay attention to the music.
Since the men who typically play the drums were missing, Ocelot insisted that drums only appear in the final celebratory sequence when the men return.
What did you say? I was really on.
I said you're batting 1,000.
Oh, thanks.
How does Kirikou's birth demonstrate his role as a self-reliant hero? We both know the answer to this. He was born with a magical sword. That would have really been painful. That he uses to cut his umbilical cord. His grandfather...
Oh, that was something that happened, though.
It wasn't at birth, though. His grandfather performs a ritual that summons him from the spirit world. He waits for the village warriors to return before choosing to enter the world. Or D, he speaks from the womb and delivers himself after his mother encourages him to do so.
G.
That's right, buddy. Dialogue highlights that because we pointed this out at the beginning. He's like, what am I doing here? Let me out. I got shit to do. The fetishes, servants of Karaba, are eventually revealed to be what? We already answered this. The missing men of the village held under magical spell. Climax. This is what sorry, everybody. I passed out like the last 2 minutes. The climax reveals that the men the villagers believed were eaten were actually being transformed into Karaba's various mechanical acting servants. All right, this is the last one. For all the bacon, which I'm going to eat. What role does the wise man of the mountain play in Kirikou's journey? He provides Kirikou with magical armor for his final battle? No. He explains the cause of Karaba's wickedness and offers guidance. He performs a ritual that instantly transformed Kirikou into an adult? No. He is the true antagonist who manipulated Karaba into attacking the village.
I don't know. I lost comprehension.
B,
Sorry.
you should start drinking coffee. He explains the cause of Karaba's wickedness and offers guidance. That's right. Good job made. By revealing the secret of the thorn, he empowers Kirikou to solve the problem through understanding rather than violence. If only things in life were that easy. Okay, I did 10 out of 10.
Nice.
Big hand clap for me.
Excellent. A++. plus.
So, a lot of times it's tough for an animation to hold my attention, especially now as an adult. But when we're referred to an animation, a lot of these are... This goes back to our personal temperaments, but I like watching movies like this that have... and seeing an analysis of them, because I did not in this, for example, I did not realize that the men were the automatons or the fetishes.
Yeah.
And I like particularly what this says about, and it says it in a very digestible way that when you treat women with violence, it has horrendous downstream effects.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very intelligent, again, digestible, and sensible way to deliver that message to a child in a medium that's meant for, or was originally meant for kids.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I know I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but this harping on the idea that you shouldn't show nudity in an animation is such a Western, just stupid nonsense way of analyzing a piece of art. I mean, again, that's the other thing is there's nudity throughout art that's totally tasteful.
Oh, yeah.
And to have, this just sounds like every time I've looked at that 3 times, I'm like, this uptight fucking nerd who wrote this just does not understand the way that ideas are transferred through art. It's mind-numbingly dumb to me. I can't believe someone would write that. But worthwhile. Check it out. Kirikou and the Sorceress.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It was very, it was different, but I really liked it. I really liked it a lot. And
you have to find things in animation that you fall in love with. And for you, it was definitely the background art.
Yeah, I loved it. And as Jay said, he found this on Instagram and was like, Louisa, look at this. You will love it.
Before I forget, I gotta give a recipe.
Okay.
For what we made, right?
Yep.
The beet thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna find this here. So, as always, brought to you by HeyHoney.biz, my little honey outfit. Specialty honeys and single pollen honeys from around the world. Yesterday, we made, I gotta find this thing. We made a salad with honey and beets, arugula, walnuts. I gotta find where I put this thing.
Ricotta and gorgonzola cheese and some orange zest. Oh, and some salt and pepper and thyme.
So we differed. I pulled away a little bit from this recipe because we had packaged beets. We didn't use fresh beets, but it still turned out fantastic. So you're going to start out with 2 beets, a tablespoon of olive oil, plus more for the stems, half teaspoon of salt, plus more for the stems, quarter teaspoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of honey, preferably from heyhoney.biz, fresh thyme, 4 to 6 stems, but you can use, what kind do we have, like it was in the
dry
shape
herb
of
and
dry herb, yeah. So you're making a crumble, so half a cup of toasted pecans, 2 ounces of gorgonzola, a handful of arugula, a teaspoon of orange zest. I used a lot more than that. Salt and pepper.
Worth it to use a lot more.
So you preheat your oven to 425. Line a sheet pan with parchment paper. Peel your beets. Cut them into small chunks, little chunks. We should have gone smaller. Reserve the stems and then chop the stems into tiny pieces. Set them aside. And then add the beets to a bowl with oil, salt, pepper, and half of the honey you're going to use. Toss and spread on the sheet. Drizzle some more honey on the top of the beets, and add thyme throughout. You're going to throw in the oven for 30 to 35 minutes. Halfway through, just like an air fryer, you're going to toss it, move them around so they get blackened and charred a little bit on each side. Add the stems to the sheet pan. Drizzle half a tablespoon of olive oil and season with some salt. Roast for 15 minutes. Or until softened slightly. Again, we did not do this, and it still turned out fine. While everything roasts, you're going to make the crumble, so you're going to add the pecans to a cutting board, chop them up, and then add the cheese. What cheese is not the ricotta, the gorgonzola. Chop that, add the arugula, continue to chop everything together, and add the orange zest, salt and pepper, and add the roasted beet stems until they're done. Again, we didn't add the stems. You're going to toss together until it's just a big messy crumble, and then spread ricotta onto a plate, top it with the beets, and then the crumble and drizzle honey onto it. It's a little bit of an undertaking, but how to turn out.
So good. It was worth all the detailed instructions that we followed,
And
I think.
a lot
It was
of these,
kinda fun.
something I want to point out is whenever we leave a recipe that resonates with you, especially if it's involved one, maybe two times. And
Thank
then
you.
you'll pick
Yeah.
it up and it'll go, like, next time we make this, it'll go a lot faster.
It will, yeah.
I think that's the thing, that's people's tendency when you follow a recipe, you try to follow it to the T because you're not sure what step, if you omit certain steps, how much it's going to impact it, so you try to be as close to it as possible. And it's only after you make it that you realize we didn't have to do half that shit.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure the stems would have added to it, but I don't want to. I could care less about
It's
not
kind of an
including it.
insignificant detail, to be honest. We had thyme from a jar, and it tasted just fine.
No, I'm talking about stems from the beets.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Okay,
But
gotcha.
even still,
Well,
I don't.
thought our beets were fine. The
They're
beets we
fine.
used.
Yeah.
It was
So-
very good, very healthy, delicious. We had
Still
some
eating
the
it. I
next
made
day.
way too much of the crumble. We're still eating it. So next movie, we don't have.
We do not. I do believe it's my pick, so I better get on that. It's going to be a while.
Good Lord. All right, I have nothing else for you because I haven't had dinner yet. So we're going to chat more about some movie later. I'm going to find something else for you to eat. Behave yourself. Do I have any other updates? Oh, markets starting in mid and southeast Michigan are starting up for me May 2nd, I believe. May 1st is my birthday, so if you're listening, I like things that are expensive and a surprise and nothing that's going to get me thrown into prison. So
Just looking for a new car, people.
I am. So if anybody out there has a 1999 yellow mint condition Lotus Esprit Turbo,
That's what we're looking
let
for.
me know. Hugs and kisses. Vanity plate that says Honey Guy or Gross Parts. That's a throwback to Grand Canyon. Hugs and kisses. We got to go. Critique-Opolis
Thanks
out.
for listening.
Toodles.